Beyond E-commerce Borders podcast.
Hello and welcome. This is our first episode of the Beyond E-commerce Borders podcast, the grand opening. This podcast is for everybody working or interested in e-commerce, no matter whether you work in a large company, an SME, or even a startup. This podcast is going to be relevant for you. Well, I do know that you may now think, wow, a new podcast. Well, one more, right? Why shall I listen to those people and what is in it for me and what am I going to take out of it? So there's two answers to that. There's 2 points. Number one, because we are just great and nice people, right? Number two, that's more important because that's the moment I'm going to tell you how great we are, right? We're great. We are rich. We've done everything successful and brilliantly that you can do in e-commerce. And by listening to our podcast, you will get rich in no time. Actually, maybe even after today's episode, you'll be swimming in money, right? Does it sound great? Do I have your attention now? Well, obviously, we all know that that was a load of crap. Hmm? So the truth is different. And the truth is actually one of the keywords of this podcast, today's and the following ones to come. What we like to do is we're telling you what we've seen and witnessed over the last years of what is really going on in European e-commerce. Knowledge that we believe will help your business, will help your mindset, and give you a clear indication where European e-commerce is headed to. Before we go into more details, a few words about myself. My name is Rolando. I'm one of your hosts today. I'm also the founder of Internel. Internel is a fulfillment company. We are helping online businesses to expand cross-border and expand successfully within Europe. I'm broadcasting this one here currently from Poland, from Warsaw. And with me today, I'm not alone, is in a probably around 1,300 and something kilometers distance is my brilliant colleague, Lidia. Lidia, would you like to say hello before we get started?
Hi everyone, I'm Lidia, part of the Internel team, and I work closely with Rolando. I'm responsible for sales and marketing at Internel, and I'm based in Switzerland. And I'm very excited to start this podcast series today.
Thanks, Lydia. We'll hear about more about you shortly. A few words about myself. As you may know, Europe has 742 million inhabitants, and one of them is me, a typical representative of a chaotic mix of culture and language. I am a Swiss and Italian national. I am of German Italian blood. I live in Poland. I grew up in the German speaking part of Switzerland. And I moved with my Western European attitude to the east of Europe. Well, trust me, have I changed? Well, probably I will call myself much less ignorant than 10 years ago, and that's probably saying it very nicely. I did indeed learn a lot. Why I tell you all that? Because I believe I am surely a good reference of what we talk in the upcoming podcast episode, mainly in the next one to come, and that's about expanding in Europe. And expanding in Europe means to understand regional consumer differences. It's to understand the different buying cultures, the different shopping behavior, and that truly determines whether you will succeed or fail in Europe with your online business. When it comes to my work experience, I have spent more than 30 years in logistics, starting in Europe, moving to Africa, working with the Middle East, coming back to Europe, and I have worked across multiple industries. My goal was actually always to fix supply chain problems and challenges. For the last 12 years, though, of my life, the focus has changed, and my true passion and love has become e commerce, a very truly exciting business segment to be. A few more important things as you will accompany us along this podcast series about myself as one of the speakers. I love black and white. I'm going to be talking black and white. I know there is gray, not particularly liked by myself, and I find it even dull. So I believe that black and white language will bring the messages better along. Furthermore, I'm not a politician. I'm pretty much far from that. So I like to call things the way they are. So if something is fabulous and works well, I'm happy to tell you that and to give you that message. And if something doesn't work or is actually rubbish, bullshit, I like to use that word as well and not jump into aphorism to please the listeners. That's pretty much it for now. Lydia, what would you like to tell our listeners about what they can expect from you or who you are?
Sure. Just to add on Rolando's whereabouts, I'm Czech and Swiss national. Grew up in beautiful Prague and for the last 25 years working and living in Switzerland, in the Italian part to be precise. I arrive with Eastern mindset to the West and live amongst persons with surely different perceptions. After such a long time in Switzerland, I'm often acting as a bridge between Eastern and Western values. And truly, I know it all, the big cultural differences, and which we have here in Europe. Now, coming back to work. Before starting our podcast, I quickly calculated something for the last 5 years. We at Internel were contacted by around 3,000 online businesses from all over the world. I have surely spoken to over 1,000 e-commerce companies about their plans in Europe. Talking to many people on the front lines really gives you a unique insights into what works and what businesses constantly get wrong. And I have a full understanding of the challenges and opportunities that are out there that I will be happy to share with you. So, why do we do this podcast? Rolando?
You already know that this podcast is for anyone looking to grow their e commerce business in Europe or those who wish to enter the continent. We're going to tackle the question that's probably in the mind of everyone: how to set foot into Europe and how to expand clever if you're already inside of it or if you're a European business. Talking about Europe, well, that is surely a continent full of opportunities. There is sales potential everywhere. There are tons of rich persons. They're all eager and they're ready to buy your great product, your high quality, innovative, ecological, sustainable, unique product. That sounds like a great dream, right? Well, time to wake up. Europe is truly a very exciting e commerce market, maybe one of the most exciting, but it's also one of the most complex because it's not a market. We are actually having here 44 countries on the continent. The European Union has alone 27, and that means 27 tax and VAT systems, and it actually means 24 official languages that you may need to address the consumers to if you only would like to tackle all consumers in the European Union. So everyone who's listening to us now here may be a bit overwhelmed, but trust me, you're not alone, right? That's a common challenge for anyone who wants to expand here in Europe. The complexity sometimes is so great that if you're unprepared, this is like stepping into a minefield. So back to what Lydia said before, we have seen explosive growth, spectacular failures, and we could actually write several books about it, I'd say. However, instead of that, we believe in sharing our experience and our knowledge, giving you the bad, the ugly, but also the good is the best way to move along and help you grow your business in Europe and to avoid repeat errors going along the way. Lydia, would you tell our listeners what we do at Internel and what they could expect about obviously in the upcoming podcast episodes?
With pleasure. For those who don't know us yet, Internel is a European e-commerce logistics company headquartered in Switzerland with distribution centers and regional hubs across Europe. We specialize in cross-border logistics and our main distribution site is in Warsaw, in Poland. Wow, that was official and a nice sentence. To cut it short, our business is to help e-commerce companies expand successfully across Europe. As to what you can expect from our Beyond E-commerce Border podcast, each episode will tackle a specific topic from customer insights, marketing strategies to logistics and operations. We will give you insights such as how to expand geographically into Europe, the do's and don'ts on your European e-shop websites, how to avoid to run your business into the ground, tell you of the fairy tale of cash on delivery in Europe, and we test annually 20 fulfillment centers. We are happy to share our findings. Last but not least, we will also bring in guest speakers, successful e-commerce managers and industry experts, and more to share their stories and advice. We will always focus on actionable takeaways and helpful materials that you can download and use to succeed in growing your business. Be ready. Rolando, did we miss out something?
Well, no, I guess we covered it all. Few words though to end this episode. Doing a podcast was something very new for us. We've been registering, recording endlessly, repeating. We have to listen to our own voices, and everyone knows what that means. You need to start to like it. It's different than what you hear is what you hear out of a computer screen or a microphone. And I'm excited to tell you that we've already registered episode 2. We will stream that very soon, and it will go much more into details how to expand successfully within Europe. We'll be talking about the real detailed details of the regional customer expectations, what people want in Europe and what they don't like. We will talk about the money and the culture trail that brings you into Europe and into the expansion in it. And obviously, we're going to be happy to show you how to safely navigate through the difficult European landscape. And moreover, obviously, we are pleased to have you with us on the next podcast. That's all from my side.
Great. So at the end of this introduction and of every episode, we would like to hear from you. What challenges are you facing? What topics do you want us to cover? Reach out via our website or social media. Your input help us to make this podcast even better. You can find all the details in the episode description, and be sure to subscribe and to follow us so you don't miss an episode. Hear from you soon. Goodbye and best of online sales with your e-commerce business.
Beyond E-commerce Borders podcast.